could make a joyful noise by raising his voice or banging on the stone walls of his cave, music has made our lives sing. But for thousands of years, man had no way to document these melodic moments. That is, until one prolific inventor changed all that. Thomas Alva Edison. His simple brass and iron device forever gave the world the gift of music.
He was working on a device to record telegraph messages, and this would record dots and dashes into paraffin paper, wax paper. And he was fiddling with the machine, and the turntable spun around a little too fast, and the needle would bounce in and out of those dots and dashes, and he heard what sounded to him like inarticulate human speech.
So, in November of 1877, he sat down and sketched out the design for a machine that he thought would be able to record and reproduce sound. In December, Edison gave the sketch to his assistant, John Carusi, who agreed to build it for $18.
What Edison used on his first model was a brass drum about 4 inches in diameter with a series of grooves around the circumference of the drum, on which he would then wrap some lead and tin foil. And the vibrations from his voice would embed themselves in the foil.
Carusi quickly rummaged through the laboratory, pulling the necessary equipment from other inventions, and after just a few days of labor, the new contraption was complete and ready for trial.
They wrapped tin foil around the mandrel. Edison adjusted it and hollered into it with his voice that was seasoned with tobacco smoke. Mary had a little lamb, its fleece was white as snow. They hooked everything back up, tried it again, it worked.
As word of the miraculous invention spread, the skeptics soon began knocking on Edison's Menlo Park, New Jersey door, wanting to see this new talking machine. So the poised young inventor took out the creation and asked his doubters to try it for themselves. One of the first to step forward and attempt to expose this fraud was Bishop Vincent, a prominent religious leader of the day.
And so Bishop Vincent led off a string of biblical names that Billy Graham would have difficulty trying to follow. And then he waited patiently after speaking to the machine, and Edison played it back. And each one of the begots were in the right order and in the right voice. And they were convinced.
With his doubters proved wrong, in the spring of 1878, Edison set out to show the talking machine to the public. But the original phonograph was just a prototype, and in the mind of its creator, not suitable for demonstration. So Edison and Carusi went back into the laboratory and quickly fashioned together another model to take on a historic trip to the nation's capital.
He then received, later that evening, an invitation from President Rutherford B. Hayes, who had heard about the invention of the phonograph but wanted to see it up close. And he stayed there till almost 3 in the morning, recording on tinfoil the voice of the President of the United States. But that foil has unfortunately never been found.
Following his triumphs in Washington, Edison headed back to his New Jersey lab and came up with another bright idea. Yes, that one. So, consequently, the phonograph was put on the shelf for a while. But in 1880, the British came calling. A man from the London Patent Office showed up at Menlo Park and asked to take some of Edison's inventions, including the original phonograph, back across the Atlantic.
Go ahead, take it. He didn't care. It probably didn't even enter his mind that this prototype of the phonograph would be so historically valuable.
The now famous phonograph prototype was put on public display throughout various museums and patent offices in London for the next 48 years. But in 1928, the U.S. Congress decided that Edison's achievements were worthy of the Congressional Medal of Honor. And as an added bonus, Edison's employees wanted to reunite the famed inventor with his favorite creation, the first phonograph. So they asked Great Britain for the old talking machine back. To their surprise, Britain said no. But not wanting to start another American Revolution, the British finally agreed to accept a replica of the first phonograph and grudgingly sent the original invention back, which was returned to Edison at a ceremony at his West Orange, New Jersey invention factory in 1928. Shortly after his death in 1931, the renowned inventor's home and laboratory were converted into a museum, and the first phonograph that he had created more than 50 years earlier was put on public display, where it still remains today. The recording industry in the United States is now estimated to be a $15 billion business, and all of it, every sound, can be traced back to the simple first phonograph, a tinfoil testament to the power of music.